Hi.
Hi,
So, hello, Cameron Lloyd. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Maggie?
I've got my dog here. He got very jealous of us talking. So, hi, I'm Maggie Maloney. And yeah, I'm lucky enough to talk to you rather today. So, Cameron, I met you about 3 years ago when I first started Metal Clay, when you were working, when we were at Sawtooth, right? And you were bringing in all of the supplies and doing all that. And now, what is your title at Clay Revolution?
So now I'm the vice president. And so Carrie and I are working together every single day, making decisions and working together on developing products. And it's just changed so much since then. And I remember that class at Sawtooth, and coming in and helping set up and
Yeah.
I was in there. I remember like sorting stones out and bezels and um and it was crazy that it's been that long. I can't believe it's already been 3 years.
Yeah. Has it,
Oh my God.
were you familiar with jewelry? I guess Carrie was doing all of this stuff, so you kind of were in the world of it, but maybe not as entrenched as you are now.
Yeah, I definitely was not as involved. I have known about, metal clay since my mom started. I mean, I was a kid. I don't remember exactly how old I was, but um she brought it home and was super excited about it and had registered for a class on accident, and didn't know what it even was.
Yep.
And so I remember all that happening. And I remember being older and then going to college, and she was starting to manufacture base metals at that point.
Hmm.
Um,
Copper,
and
right? Is it just copper
yeah,
for your base metals, right? Or
yeah,
no?
copper and bronze. And then
Okay,
there's four kinds of bronze, so there's five total base metals.
right.
Um, and so I would help her out with that a lot, on weekends or after school, when I lived at home. But I never really did too much with it, and I've always considered myself to be, artistic or crafty, but it wasn't anything that I, you know, knew anything about really.
Right.
Um, and now I would say I'm a lot more involved. I spend more time making things, creating things, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of my favorite mediums to work with now at this point.
You can literally do anything. It's amazing. I was the same.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was signing up for. I just saw like a little thing on Sawtooth and thought, well, that looks pretty cool. I'll give it a shot. And I remember at the end, Carrie said, "You don't even know what you walked into, did you?" I was like, now I do, and I want to do this for the rest of my life. I love it. So,
Right. Yeah.
the beginning
Yeah.
of
I think,
friendship.
oh, yeah. And I think she saw a little bit of herself in you too, probably when you took that class, because she had that same exact experience when she walked into it.
Yeah.
Um, and she gets a lot of people who take her classes who know about metal clay. Like maybe they haven't made anything with it, but they know somebody who has.
Right.
Um, and so, I think she really enjoys that experience of, somebody walking in and taking her class and, it being a brand new medium.
Right. All right, so
So,
let's switch gears just for a sec. So you made it's the base metal line is called Five Star, right? And now
mhm,
you've got Project X. So
mhm.
what inspired this whole new line of silver clay?
Um, so we, like I said, have been making base metals for a while, and silver clay wasn't uh, something that we, I guess, had any idea that we were going to ever do. Especially with PMC on the market, and Carrie being the president of Camp PMC, it just,
Mhm.
I guess we expected PMC to just kind of be around. And so once PMC was discontinued, we had all the knowledge from teaching and running the education program for Mitsubishi,
Mhm.
and especially seeing a product that was so popular, 70% of the market being discontinued. That was kind of the
Like, hold
moment
on.
that we were like, okay, we need to do that.
Yeah.
And we spent a lot of time developing the product. We spent a lot of time getting even to the developmental
Right.
stage. Really, there was a lot of planning. There was a lot of stuff that we had to do. It was a really big project for us. Um, and I think, you know, the most important thing for us was developing a metal clay that met all the needs of a metal clay artist, including ourselves. So we did a lot of research and we did a lot of thinking, the two of us, like, what is it that we want from a clay? Like, what are the properties that are important for us and for other metal clay artists?
Hmm.
We didn't want we wanted to develop a premium silver clay. We didn't want to just bring another metal clay to market.
Right. Excuse me, sorry, because there are other metal clays out there, which are great in and of themselves. They have, their things, but it feels like Mitsubishi's precious metal clay PMC, um, they really are the gold, if you will, gold standard in silver. And
Mm-hmm.
just, I mean, I'm guessing anyone watching this knows about metal clay, but just in case. So Mitsubishi developed this initially almost accidentally. Is that right? They were trying to
Mm-hmm.
like make a part for their car where they couldn't get things in. So they developed this thing and fired it onto whatever part of the car. I don't know about cars, but and then as Japanese companies do, they realize like they like to sort of find something beautiful and artistic to put out there and give back to the world. So they sort of made this, and forgive me if I'm getting anything wrong, please correct me. It was like not like a big profit margin for them compared to cars. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then they've decided, you know what, we're going to move on from this. And again, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
it left a major gap in the market. And to like you guys, you were like mad scientists. I've seen photos of you, the little silver.
Yeah.
Here's my dog going crazy. Cardi, come here. Um, sorry. Uh, of developing, formulating this clay, because it's not just throw in some silver, throw in some water, whatever. You have to get this perfect blend of this binder, water, silver, powder, and what you've made is amazing. It's perfect. Like you said,
Yeah.
thing
It
you
was
want.
we really did feel like mad scientists in there.
Mhm.
And there were a lot of days that we, were dreading going in and doing more work. There were a lot of days. I mean, it's surprising how complicated of a process it actually is, considering we already have, base metals that we manufacture, but it's surprising how different silver reacts with everything.
Right.
Um, and we in the beginning initially we were like, okay, so we're going to make it the same way that we make our base metals. That should be a good starting point for us.
Hmm.
um and it turns out that that did not work at all.
Yeah.
um and so we spent a lot of days and nights and weekends at work in the back room, looking like scientists, and trying out so many different chemicals and binders. um, and we eventually got to the point that uh, we started to understand what the chemicals were actually doing and what the binders were actually doing and the properties that they were giving the clay.
Right.
Um, and neither of us have a background in chemistry, so it took a lot longer for us to get to that point. But it was it was it was a lot of work and it was a lot of hard work, but it was really fun at the same time. I mean, Carrie and I both have um, an interest in you know, developing things and creating things.
Right.
And so, it was as much work as it was fun, honestly.
Yeah. So what do
Mhm.
you feel like, well, Project X, talk about the clay itself, the properties of it when you're working with it. What's so great about it? I mean, I know, I've worked with it, but you talk about
Uh-huh.
it.
So like I said, we did a lot of research and we listened to a lot of artists, and we took what we knew about metal clay, and we knew that we wanted a long working time,
Mhm.
um, and we uh, offer that in the whole line. So I'll go over the whole line
Oh yeah.
in a minute, but all of our clays offer these properties. So strength during the greenware stage,
Mhm.
that's a really important one. I'm sure you know how easy it is to break a piece while you're sanding it.
Absolutely.
Um,
I just did it last night, but not with Project X. It's like I'm using remnants of the old stuff, and it was a little.
yeah,
Anyway, yeah, it's heartbreaking.
yeah, that is a really frustrating thing. We all know that feeling.
Mhm.
And it also has a really strong center. So we have some bendability test videos on our website. And it is amazing how strong it is after firing. You can do some amazing things with it once you've fired it. And I think that's one of the coolest things because, um, you know, it was also important for us to develop metal clay that works for metal smiths as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh
I
yeah.
think that is a um, group that could really benefit from using metal clay. I mean, there are just certain things that would be easier to do in metal clay than traditional metalsmithing, and
Right.
it's vice versa as well. I think it's good to have skills in both,
Yeah.
to make things easier, I guess. But
Right. Because you think of like,
having
sorry,
mhm,
carry on. No, no, no.
having a strong metal once it's been fired is really important for metalsmiths, because that's one of the things that has been um, sort of a downside with metal clay is its porosity
Mhm.
and its strength once fired. And that's been a big reason that metalsmiths have not had much interest in metal clay,
Right.
um, because, sheet metal is very
Right.
strong.
Yeah.
It's non-porous. And so that was something we needed for Project X. And the last thing is the high shine. So it is extremely shiny. When you polish it up, I mean, it is truly amazing. I have not ever seen anything like it. Um, and I just, have you seen have you polished any
Yeah.
Project X yet?
Yeah. It's like mirror. I mean, shinier
Yeah.
than, I don't know. It just sparkles and gleams. It's wild.
Hmm.
It looks, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
think it's shinier than platinum or something, but yeah, that's what I love too, is that you can, of course, you can fireable stones in place, but then afterwards,
Mhm.
with other metal clays, when you want to solder, well, Brits say solder, and then we say, I never understood that one. But anyway, so when you're soldering like a bezel or anything on there, you would have to burnish the hell out of it so that there was
Mhm.
nothing porous about, because otherwise then just the solder
Yeah.
chip just sink right in.
Yeah,
But
the solder just goes right in. Yeah.
so it's a lot easier to just and do it old school bench smith, like a bench jeweler. Um,
Mhm.
yeah. So I want to make sure we covered all of your yeah, beautiful high shine, the greenware. I feel like, again, I know people watching this are very interested in metal clay, I'm sure, but for those who don't, so greenware, I didn't even know that term actually, is that after the water has dried out, but before you fire it, right? So it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
And I think it's traditionally, and I could be wrong, honestly, but I think it's traditionally like a pottery or like ceramics term.
Mhm.
from when you're going from like the wet clay state into, pre-fire.
Yeah.
Um, and I just recently started using that term for the pieces. I always just said dry clay.
Right.
But then
Yes.
I picked it up from somebody else and I was like, I like that word. And I know what it is as far as like ceramics.
Yeah.
Um, so it makes a lot of sense. I don't know that it's absolutely the correct term for metal clay.
Let's embrace it. Why not?
Yeah.
Right here today.
Right,
um,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and yeah, like you said, before it even gets to Greenmore, you have so much more time to work with it. Like I found myself when I first started this, I'd be like holding my breath trying to get it all done before
Mhm.
things went crazy, and I'd have to get more water or whatever in there,
Yeah.
keeping able to work with it. So
Yeah.
where are you all based?
So we are based in Madison, North Carolina. It's a cute, tiny little town. It's about 30 minutes north of Greensboro, which is the third biggest city here. So it's not too far, into the country, but there's, it's a typical small town, cute little place. And we have an actual location now. So we do all of our manufacturing. We have classes there. And we have actually a retail storefront as well.
Mhm.
And so we're starting to get, the community in the area interested in metal clay.
Yeah.
And we, you know, actually have a few metal clay artists that live here, which is um, surprising because it's a small little town. But um, doing that, and we have a class every Friday night.
Mhm.
So that's a really cool thing. People have enjoyed that so far. Um, and tonight they'll actually be working with, well, this is recorded, but tonight, August 4th, they'll be working with Project X and making silver clay pendants.
Oh,
Um, and so it's a fun little, you can bring your drinks in and your friends and your food and just hang out.
yeah.
Um, and uh, the funny thing that's been happening, we ship a lot and we're shipping all over the world actually. And so the locals in the area and like our mailman and the um I'm not exactly sure what her title is, but she runs the Chamber of Commerce here. Um, she is amazing, but everybody has started saying, that we're putting Madison on the map.
Aw.
Um, and that's been a really cute thing that we're really proud of. And we've come a long way. I mean, since starting when my mom started this business, she was, uh, just working out of her house. She had a little studio in her house, and she filled orders, and she made clay, and she did all those things in her studio.
Right.
And then she moved into a little farmhouse that was on the property. We worked in there for a little while,
Well,
and I think I worked there for about like 3 years, I think. Um, and then now we are in like a real building that has real space, and it's grown so much. Honestly, it's crazy.
I had to mute you for a second because my dog was flipping out. Someone was at the door to a package of perhaps something from television. Well, that's also what I love about you guys is that you carry everything from soup to nuts. So if you, like me, when I walked in, not knowing what class I was stepping into, and I was just besotted with this whole medium, I wanted to have all the things. And there are a lot of startup wise, there are a bunch of tools and different things that you would
Mhm.
want to need. Um,
Mhm.
so you carry it all. You've got
Mhm.
stuff for shapes and forms and templates and all the tools and everything, which is
Molds. Yeah.
and stones. You
Um.
create stones that you can
Yeah.
fire and stuff that you can put a bezel around. But yeah,
Mhm. Lots of CZs. CZs are like one of our best sellers. Everybody loves CZs. I mean, there's nothing you couldn't love about CZs, I guess. And seeing like the case of CZs when you walk into the store is just gorgeous. So that's one of my favorite things to do is fill those trays up with CZs. But yeah, we carry a large assortment of metal clay things, and we recently started getting into ceramics because you share a lot of the same tools. You know, I mean, you're generally working with larger things in ceramics, but you can still do beads and jewelry with ceramics as well, and you use a lot of the same tools because you're working with clay. So that's, you know, one of the benefits is that you can kind of share a lot of that stuff, and you can also use your metal clay, your silver clay with your ceramics and your glazes, which is a lot of fun too. We've been doing a lot of that. You know, mixing our Project X pastes into glazes and then glazing ceramics is
Yes.
a lot of fun.
I haven't done it. Well, I've worked with ceramics, but I haven't done the sort of a mixed medium of adding the silver right onto the pottery. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys, what I love also at your storefront, if someone doesn't finish their stuff, you can fire it and send it to them, right? That's something you guys
Yeah,
offer.
yeah. So we do a lot of firing in there with the classes that we hold. We obviously fire everything from classes, and then we fire ceramics as well
Mhm.
in there, which is a longer process. You know, everything has to dry on ceramics, but we do that as well. But we do offer free firing services through our website, and so if you buy clay from us, you can send us your greenware pieces and just tell us what it is, what kind of clay you used, and we will fire those pieces for free and send them back to you.
I didn't realize it was through the website too. I just thought it was the storefront.
Hmm.
That's amazing. Hmm.
Yeah.
On a kiln because I'm crazy. uh, well, like, yeah, actually, speaking of, and like you said, if someone orders clay and sends something to you, tell you what type of clay it is because they all have different firing schedules, as it's called.
Hmm.
So, talk us through all the Project X clays that you offer.
Yeah. So there are a lot. So um, we have got 999 standard.
Fine
And
silver.
so yeah, fine silver. And so that follows the same firing schedules as PMC does. It's very easy, very user friendly. It can also be fired. It can be torch fired and kiln fired, just like PMC3. Um,
Creme brulee.
and we I'm sorry.
Oh, just like the little creme brulee torch. Like if you just want to
Yes.
stop and do it, find silver, get your little torch, and you're good to go. You don't have to have a kiln at home, which is great.
Mm-mm.
Anyway, carry on.
No. Yeah, and the torch firing uh, Project X gives you an amazingly high center, and you will still get strong pieces after that. So, and it only requires 2 minutes to fire, to torch fire. So that's a really big benefit. You know, kilns are a big investment, and torch firing is a lot of fun. I like to do it. It's not for everybody. Everybody, you know, has their preference, but it's a lot of fun to watch it um, fire right in front of you. So um, we offer that. We also offer 999 fine silver in flex form. And so that has a lot of bendability while it's in its greenware stage. So you can shape it. It's good for making like you know, bracelets. It's good for making rings. Anything that you would want to form while it's not in its like wet clay state. Um, you can do that. And let's see, what do we have after that? We've got Oh, we offer 9.99 in syringe.
Hmm.
We offer 9.99 water paste and oil paste.
Hmm.
Um, and so oil paste is not super common.
Yeah, that's the
It
first time I've seen it is oil paste. So yeah.
Yeah, so there are some oil pastes out there, but it's one of the products we wanted to offer in our line, just because it's not super common, and it's really good for joining like two metal pieces together, firing those pieces together. It gives you a longer working time as well, and it's also really good for joining like a greenware piece and a fired piece together. So if you want to like add on to your pieces after you fire them, that's oil paste works really well for that.
Cool to know.
Mm-hmm.
Product to know.
Um, yeah. Yep. I actually was just using oil paste before this interview. I'm working on it's a baby shower present. And my friend is probably not going to see this because she was at the live event. So she watched me in person, and that was really nerve wracking. But I'm making a baby rattle for her baby shower present out
Yeah.
of Project X. So that has been a lot of fun. I've not ever done anything like that.
I haven't seen anybody do anything like that. So that's really cool. What'd you put
Yeah.
inside it to, because that would
Um,
melt if it's
yeah,
thing.
yeah, I didn't want to use silver
Yeah.
inside because,
So
in an attempt to save some money. Um so we have like a whole jar of tiny little stainless steel ball bearings for some reason. I don't know why.
like,
And so I just put like a handful of those in there. Yep. And so I just did it like a lentil bead.
mhm.
So I did two, half spheres, and then I put all the ball bearings in there and then pasted it together. And so the whole thing is just gonna fire as one piece.
Amazing. That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you've got all of those 999 products, and
Yep.
then I guess go down the silver list, really. What's
Okay,
next?
so after that we've got 960. Um, we which is a sterling silver clay. Um, we offered it as a replacement to the discontinued 950. We wanted to have a strong silver clay for when you're making, those projects that need the extra strength, um, rings,
Mm.
bracelets. I've mentioned rings and bracelets twice now, but but those are good projects to use sterling clays for, and it's easy. It's easy to fire. It's a one fire clay. You don't need carbon for it. You can put it on the kiln shelf and fire it in the kiln. You do need a kiln for that, though. You cannot torch fire the 960 clay. Um, but if you don't have a kiln, we can fire it for free. So just mail it in to us.
Yeah.
Um, but we offer that in a standard form and in a flex form as well. So it has the same properties as the fine silver flex, but with the sterling metal.
Cool.
So after that, we have a 925. So that's sterling as well. It's going to be even stronger, higher copper content than the 960 clay. The 925 is kiln fire only, and you do have to fire the 925 in carbon, so that you don't get oxidation on your piece while it's firing. And the last product in the line is X2O,
X2O.
which is the rehydration fluid. So that's a really good product to have, on your workbench. Um, so it's really good at rehydrating your clay, like if you've left it out overnight, that sort of thing. But like I had mentioned previously, we did develop Project X to have a really long working time, and so you have quite a bit of time in the beginning. Dried out clay is sort of a problem of the past. Did I get that phrase right? That sounds not right.
I don't know. It sounded good to me.
Okay.
All right, so
Yeah.
X2O is sort of like PMC's Aqua, right? It's
Hmm.
that thing, which yeah, it's great because water doesn't always do the trick instantly, or yeah, it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
uh
I would say distilled water works well, a couple drops of distilled water if you still have wet clay and if you're sort of trying to reduce like the cracking while you're trying to form something with wet clay. Um, it works really well with Project X. But if you're trying to rehydrate a piece of clay that you've left out overnight, or that's been in the bag opened for a while, X2O is definitely your best bet.
yeah.
Mm.
So you guys, I think PMC has an 850 or had, and you guys aren't doing that. So it's 925 is like the lowest silver. Is that right? So
It is, yeah. Hmm.
yeah. What I didn't realize is, you get silver, sterling silver, anything, and it's stamped 925 on the back. And I just thought, oh, that just means sterling silver. So it's only
Mm.
through play I have learned. So 925 means it's like 925 out of 1,000 parts silver. Is that right? And then like fine silver 909 is basically pure silver, right?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting way, honestly, that makes sense the way that you said it. The way that I've always known it to be is like 92.5%.
That's
Um, so I guess that's like the same thing, just a different way to say it.
92.5%. That sounds smarter. Real maths. Um,
So
oh, yeah.
yeah, it's math, is not my thing, but that sounded like the same thing. And it's the same deal with the 960. So it's 96%
Mhm.
silver content, and then you get the 4% copper content. And it's amazing how, that sounds like such a small percentage, but it's amazing how much stronger the metal is with just that 4% of copper in it. The 960 is really my go-to for projects that you want additional strength just because it's so easy to fire. You put it in the kiln on the kiln shelf, and that's it.
Yeah.
Um, and it's incredibly strong. But you're going to get the most brilliant shine out of a 999 fine silver clay. So you'll get like the whitest silver, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
The brightest silver. Hmm.
Um, well, what I also love about you guys is that it's a family-owned company, right? It's you
Hmm.
guys all in it together. And right here in the good old US of A.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So we source everything. We source all of our materials here in the USA. We're here also located in the USA, and we Carrie and I really have our hands in the products. We have a great team. I think we're at. It's hard. We did just get a new person that we just recently hired, and so I think we are at 8 employees now, and we are all a great team. We love being there, and we've all got our hands in the clay. We're making it here in Madison. We're packaging it here in Madison. Even our packaging is made in the USA, and that was a really important thing for us to be able to do. It's harder to find
Yeah.
things like that now, and we wanted to be a larger part of the community. Mm.
Wow. No, what else? Have we missed anything? I feel like This is a great intro to Project X. Why'd you call it Project X?
Project X, it sounded like when we were working on it, it was really top secret. And we, didn't want anybody to know about it. We, in the beginning, we weren't even 100% sure that we could do it, to be honest. And uh, Project X seemed really fit like top secret,
Ah,
sort of sci-fi name. Um,
and I love you had
and
the promos before it was really launched. You had this James Bond guy, actor who was amazing, sort of hinting at clues of what it was. So it was really
yeah,
cool.
yeah, and that was Carrie's idea. It was a really good idea to have James Bond, doing our commercial.
Mhm.
Um, Loved that they turned it out and sparked so much interest in the time. We're getting so many emails, calls, even text, and asking like, what is you guys working on? And I think a lot of people had a good idea in the year that TMC was discontinued. But it was kind of fun, everything, under wraps for so long, and, being like, I don't know what it's going to be. What do you think it's going to be?
Yes, we'll all find out together. And it's exciting. It's been really well received in the metal clay community. Like all the artists who have tested it are just raving. So that's amazing and really exciting. So clayrevolution.com. You guys are just
Yes,
killing it, which I love. I'm so happy for you.
you. And I mean, we could not have done it without everybody. You know, um, we, like I said, we needed to know what everybody wanted. We had to do a lot of research on that. It wouldn't have happened without my mom. It wouldn't have happened, and it wouldn't be happening without the amazing team that we have over at Clay Rev, the Clay Rev team.
Clay, Team Clay. I love that. All
Yes.
right. Well, it looks like our time was almost out here on our Zoom. So is there anything else you want to leave us with or say? I feel like we covered a lot, but
I want to say thank you to everybody for making this, dream come true. This is something that my mom wanted to do for a while, and she could not be more happy doing this. And I want to thank you personally, to my parents. This is a dream come true for me, and thank you to um, the staff that we have. Couldn't do it without them either. And I guess that covers everything.
that's all right. Well, Cam, as I know you, but Cam, thank you. This was amazing. I'm so again just so excited for you all. And
Thank you so much, Maggie.
all right.
You being on here today.
It was fun. Thank you. Anytime.
Yeah.
All right, friend. Bye.
Bye.